It's interesting to think about life as a journey, as in the places you've gone, the twists and turns that materialize, the people that have entered and left your world, the days that one by one emerged and retreated. I took a walk this morning and was thinking about all the steps that brought me to this point, the decisions I made or didn't make, the actions that essentially bridged then and now. It's quite an adventure we're on. And what I realized on this particular walk was that throughout my story, some of my biggest shifts, my greatest transformation, even the happiest moments of my life, they were born from questions that I asked myself. Some incredibly obvious. Questions that maybe I just never asked. Others, well, they required reworking common narratives. But they were all questions that caused me to reflect on my life and my situation and allow me to be more, to focus on the right things and leave all that other stuff behind. So I figured I'd share a few of those questions today, what they meant for me, and how hopefully they can help you along the same lines. So question number one, what do I have to lose? I learned early on that our tendency is to want to protect what we have. Routine is safe, and safety is survival. Whether it's trying something different, going somewhere new, leaving something behind, very few decisions in life can't be reversed. Very few decisions are forever. Yet we often stay in situations we aren't happy with because we fear the unknown so greatly that it seems not worth it. And this isn't a character flaw, it's instinct. But it can be rewired and reworked. Because danger isn't in making mistakes, danger is in never making them and becoming a fraction of what you might have been. So that's question number one. What do you have to lose? Question number two, am I happy? Why is this on the list? Because sometimes I'd forget that it's okay to simply do what makes me happy, what I enjoy. I don't have to do anything. I get to live the way I want to live. I think we too often let happiness take a back seat while we pursue things that we feel a sense of obligation to pursue. Right? And I'm not saying happy all the time is a thing. I've talked about that before. I've made videos about it. Life is absolutely peaks and valleys and navigating between them. But I do think happiness should be what we aim for. It should be our foundation and closely tied to our sense of purpose because, well, you don't get a second life. So it's important to make sure you enjoy this one. And frequently ask yourself if where you are in life makes you happy. Number three, how can I get there? Now the nuance here, the difference is in the word how at the beginning of the question. Think about that. Think about the difference between can I get there and how can I get there? I learned this in college and it truly changed my perspective. When you start any journey knowing that the destination will be reached, when there is no question, when you're sure of yourself, the little decisions are no longer about whether to turn back or whether it's worth it. There is no can I, but it's in the how, it's the adjustments. What do I need to change? What have I learned that I can implement? What is everyone else doing or not doing that I can do? It's not whether your goal exists, because it does. The question is how do you get there? Number four, what can I remove? Why? Because our tendency when we feel stuck or overwhelmed or lost or unsure is to look to acquire solutions. right? It's like, what can I add that I don't have? What can I obtain that will fill some void or gap? And sure, maybe sometimes that's the case, but in my experience, far more common is the need to eliminate what doesn't serve you. It's not to add, but to remove. It's to simplify. Identify what matters and just remove the rest, right? It's such a nice feeling to have line of sight to a particular goal and a foundation in place that allows you to move towards it. Eliminating the activities that are meaningless. And that's, the people that hold you back, the places that don't coincide with who you want to be. If it's not helping you, it's hurting you. So, what can you remove? Number 5, have I been scared recently? And those of you who have been listening to me for a while, I'm big on this one. If you haven't been in a situation recently where you've been nervous or uneasy or unsure, then you probably aren't growing. And all of my life-changing moments, they made me uneasy at the time. They made me question myself. They weren't simple for me. From the beginning of my keynote speaking career, to pushing creative boundaries, to having the courage to grow my business in ways I hadn't before, they were all terrifying in the moment. And they all ended up being essential to the path I'm on. The way I look at it is, fear doesn't really get easy, but you can get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable. Right? You start to see it as just the price you pay for something better, the ticket to get into the show. The beginning of everything good to come. So, have you been scared recently? Number 6, what is my little hinge? Now, a little hinge is one small thing you can do that has a monumental impact on your day. For me, it's waking up early, it's having coffee, it's reading and getting some time to myself. That propels me into the rest of the day like a rocket. So the question is, what is the little thing in your life that can have a big impact on your day, on your energy, on your success? What is your little hinge? Number 7, how can I find a positive in this situation? And this one's tough, but it makes all the difference. Right, here is the reality. Even the worst experiences, our greatest letdowns, they open the door to something positive, something that can change your life for the better. And it is convincing myself to find it amidst these situations that has contributed to some of my greatest breakthroughs, because you learn. You're forced to adapt. You're forced to become more, and the key is put right in front of you. The problem is that most of the time we're so consumed by what we lost that we walk right by the positive. COVID's a great example. Incredibly challenging time, difficult for everyone involved. People have lost their jobs, found themselves unsure of what tomorrow holds. But I've always said since day one that if you can find one positive here, one thing you can start or do or change so that when it's all over and you look back, you can say that little period of uncertainty, of hell, of discomfort, well, that is when it all started. That's when I planted the seed for something incredible. Right? And so my question to you is, how can you find the positive in this situation? Number 8, why not me? Anyone who's done something of value has faced long odds. They've had to peer into an abyss, not knowing what the future would hold. They didn't have an external world providing assurances. No, true to the name, they leaned on their internal world, their world within, self-belief. An understanding that life might knock them around, it might present challenges, but somewhere in there was the courage to march forward and overcome. See, no one's born special or with all the answers. The way I see it, there are people who had the courage to embrace vulnerability and those who did not. So let go of the thought that there's a monumental difference between you and the people who have what you want. Create a plan, prepare for the long haul, and most importantly, believe in yourself to overcome. If they did it, why not you? Question number 9, who matters? Now, this is in a lot of ways tied to question 4, the whole what can I remove question, but it's so important and it's been so valuable to me that I want to expound upon it. Right? Imagine a hospital bed scenario. Imagine, God forbid, you're sick and had to spend some time in the hospital. Who of all the people you know would make time to visit and sit by your bedside? Maybe the list is small, maybe it's not, but at least personally, I have a gut feel for who in my life fits that description. Those are really the people who matter. Those are the people I want to share time with and be there for. Those are opinions I consider. And this is important because we spend so much time, in some cases, making life-altering decisions based on the opinions of people who don't meet that description, don't even come close, sometimes strangers. And I'm not advocating being disrespectful towards people you don't know, nothing along those lines, but what I am reminding you is that there are a few people, a handful in our lives that truly have our best interest at heart, that means something. Don't adjust your life for people not on that list, right? It's important to ask yourself who matters. Lastly, number 10, how am I thinking about yesterday? Now, this one's near and dear to my heart because yesterday can be a tricky thing. You know, we fall into the trap, sometimes without even realizing it, of allowing our past to determine our future. Well, this is how people saw me yesterday. This is how I felt about myself yesterday. This is what my life was like yesterday. So this is who I am. This is who I need to be. But that thinking couldn't be further from the truth, right? You are always one decision away from a totally different life, one step away from walking down a new path, from creating something for yourself never seen. So don't ever feel like you can't change or grow into something new because you spent so long getting to where you are now. See, life is malleable. It's a story you decide to tell, and as I've always said, you are the captain of your ship. And that wake behind you has no control over where you choose to go next. Don't ever forget that. Your attention should be on where you are now, not where you used to be. So how are you thinking about yesterday? And most importantly, where will you go from here?